Hey everybody, I'm Maddie, and today I want to talk to you about something very, very, very important to me. But before I do, I just want to say that I am perfectly aware that not everyone who watches believes the exact same way I do, and this is just me sharing my story. I don't want to leave any important details out, so you can take away from it whatever you want. I'm just going to be completely transparent here. So I want to talk to you about the exact moment where my journey toward minimalism started. And this was about a year and a half ago. I've been actively practicing minimalist habits for about a year, but about a year and a half ago, I started to understand the error of my ways. And it was when I read this Bible verse from Matthew. It's Matthew 6:19 through 21, and I'm not going to be able to recite it verbatim, but I probably should. But I can't. I will include the exact verse in the link in the description below. But it basically says, don't store up for yourself treasures on earth where thieves can steal it and it can be broken down, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where thieves can't steal and it can't be broken down, because where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I'm sorry that that's so messed up, that I messed that up so much. But anyway, so yeah, I read this verse and I really thought it was important because these are Jesus's exact words. Well, those weren't, but whatever I put in the link will be. And if Jesus said it, then it has to be important. And if where my treasure is, there my heart also is. I don't want my heart to be in any place that it shouldn't be. And so I started to look at the things that I have stored up for myself. And I was looking around at all of my stuff. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized that it wasn't as important as I thought it was. And so I started to think, well, what does matter? What is important? And I firmly believe that one of the most generous and abundant gifts God has given us is each other people. And the best way to share his love is through relationships with those people. And so I decided that I wanted to have, healthier, more fruitful, honest, genuine relationships with everybody that I was friends with, the people who I wanted to be friends with, the people I would potentially be friends with, and just everyone in my life. And so first, I needed to start with my relationship with myself, and that hasn't always been a good relationship, to be honest, but, it has its highs and lows, and I needed to work on it. So I started to take this Bible verse to heart. I looked at all of my stuff because I decided that I was valuing my stuff way too much, and I got rid of a bunch of it. I started to change some of my consumer habits, and when I finally got into the swing of those things, I looked around and I felt like I could breathe for the first time. It's like when you have a cold and you've had a cold for a really long time, and then you finally take that one clear breath when you get over the cold, and it feels like you can breathe for the first time because air is just so sweet and awesome. But that's what it felt like, and when I did that, I felt like I could kind of understand what Jesus was saying a little bit better, because everything I got rid of, everything I kept, everything on this earth has a death date, essentially. Everything breaks down, everything decomposes, it breaks, it gets dirty, and it stretches out, it wears out, and everything becomes essentially useless at some point. And so why would I put my value and my faith and my treasure and then ultimately my heart into something so finite and something that won't always be here for me? And that was really a big turning point and a lesson that I really needed to learn for myself. And so minimalism is not the answer. Minimalism isn't the thing that completely changed my life. It's just a tool that kind of has helped me to understand how to live better. And in the same way that minimalism isn't the answer, possessions aren't bad by themselves. It's the valuing those possessions more than anything else, or not necessarily more than anything else, but just valuing them too much. That is the bad thing, and that becomes a real problem that needs to be fixed. And so that was something that I decided was a problem with myself that I needed to fix. It might not necessarily be everybody's problem. So that was really how it started. And then as I started to get more into minimalism, I used that as a tool to kind of adjust my values and to see that relationships and experiences became such better tools to bringing myself and other people closer to God than my material possessions ever were. And so I've been trying to take steps to bring my values closer to the values of Jesus. And I know that my values and Jesus's values will never line up perfectly. But I can always be taking steps to grow in that direction. And I know that Jesus doesn't value a cute pair of shoes the way I once did, or the way I even do now. And like Jesus was a carpenter, so I'll just use like a saw as a silly example. I know that Jesus will not value a saw as much as he will value me or you or anybody else. And so I want my values to reflect those values and to be more like Jesus and to represent him the best I can. And minimalism is just a tool to help me get there and at least grow in that direction.